Welcome to episode 9, Musically Meditated. We're here in Hobart, Indiana. We're at the Green Door, but it's another little arm off the Green Door.
It's the next Green Door.
It's the next Green Door. Sret, what's going on with this spot? Tell people.
We got a new spot. Instead of the back of the bookstore, we got a spot a few doors down from the bookstore in Hobart.
I'm very pumped to have a guest tonight. He's been a friend of mine for a long time. We've made music together probably since the age of 15 or 16, and we still are. He's been in many bands, but his band tonight in the genres that we're going to discuss, it's perfect to bring him in because these particular genres, he's a friend and a really good opinion when it comes to this extreme type of genre of music, and that's why he's here. And his name is Justin Wallace. He's got many different aliases. How about you introduce yourself, man? How are you?
What it is. How you doing, Joey?
I'm doing great.
Justin Wallace, Hobart, Indiana. Down since day one-ish.
Yeah, it is. It's a Hobart thing. It really is. I'm glad you're here tonight. Let's talk about your band. You have a new album coming out, but first let's get into your history. Real quick, our history together musically. The first time I met him, we had a decent connection, but what I really, really remember was when Kurt Cobain died. So we had to have been
like 11?
9, 10, 11.
Some.
I mean, we've known each other for a very, very long time, but I remember being at school and someone was like, yeah, Kurt died. I was like, oh. Like, yeah, Justin Wallace is really upset about it.
I was pretty butthurt. Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then, you were actually upset. Like, you were down and out. I'm like, who is this dude? And then I got to know you a little bit more, and I really remember how much you loved Kurt, and it was all about music, even when we were so young, and you had all the imports, you had all the tapes, you had your own tapes. I mean, it was, for us, it was about music right off the get-go, and especially with Kurt, and the whole Nirvana thing. Do you still have any of those?
I got a few lurking around. They're mainly digital, and I think maybe you have some of mine.
No comment. I plead
Scandalous.
the fifth. I plead the fifth, but you do have all your old T-shirts, I remember, and that's pretty badass.
They're not for sale.
They're not for sale, man. Put them on eBay, man.
That's all right.
Only if you had to.
Yeah, some of them are stained from the years.
From puberty?
The years of seclusion.
years of seclusion, but yeah, I remember that, and that's how we clicked, and we loved music, and I just really remember you loving Nirvana, being basically obsessed, but I remember how much of an impact it had on you as a child, and it was, I don't know,
yeah,
impressionable.
It turned me on to a lot, everything that I am now, and as far as being open-minded musically, really, because to hear stuff that, catchy, but that powerful when you're that impressionable, that young, it's it really does something to you. And I wouldn't have known who Black Flag, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, all Flipper, all these Meat Puppets, all these bands that I got into, which eventually progressed me into the heavier methods of life. But I wouldn't have known any of that had it not been for Nirvana and Kurt Cobain and all that. So yeah, I was pretty. I was in tears that day.
You were, and I remember it. It's crazy because it was such a long time ago. But
yeah, 20-something years now, I think. Gotta be like.
Let's not date us too much, all right?
We're old school.
We're old school, all right. We keep it real. Him and I have been friends for that long. We remember.
Don't keep count.
We don't keep count, and we remember when Kurt died. We were in elementary. We both loved him, and we both loved Nirvana.
With a tear in my eye, baby.
To this day. But here we are now. Fast forward 20 years later, let's get into your history as far as bands. Like I said, when we were younger, I know that our first band was Indica. You were the vocalist.
What was that name again?
Indica, not Sativa.
That's right.
Indica. And we did battle the bands. We did great. We should have won, but I believe you said some curse words, so we got disqualified.
Yeah, I've learned from that lesson. You won't hear that from me anymore.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
I don't do that shit anymore.
But that was a fun time, and after that, was there a band in between Indica and Animus that you messed around with? I don't remember.
There were some guys that I was trying to jam with, some older dudes, but nothing ever came about. I jammed with Neil,
Did you?
and Cug back, and it's just wanking around, nothing even serious.
Okay.
You were like tuning my guitar down low as hell to play some new metal riffs.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'm popular.
But yeah, the Animus thing was cool. That was it's like the girl that got away,
Yeah.
Animus is that band that got away.
Yeah. There was
That was our band. Like I was playing bass, he did vocals. We had Dave Love on drums and Matt Westerfield on guitar. It was extremely original, and we have recordings of it. And the way we used to record that is I had this karaoke machine with a tape player, and we would hang the microphone. And this is for all you young kids. We would hang the microphone in the middle of the room and put a sock over it.
A stanky sock.
A stanky sock or a crusty one. Stratton, you gave me that crusty eye right there. We would hang the sock. It would muffle the sound. Like we would play in a room similar to this, like my parents' basement. But at any rate, Animus was a good time. What would you describe that music? What was Animus?
I don't know. It was just all over the place. I mean, there was grinds, there was just heaviness, there was funk, there was thrash. It's just rock. It's all just rock and roll.
It was some good organic rock and roll. But you were doing vocals. That's when you were testing out your shouting and screaming skills. And someone came across you and said, "Hey, man, you should join my band. I don't think I'm going to be the vocalist anymore." And that was our buddy Zach. And that group was called Decrypt. And what do you guys say about Decrypt?
Oh, man. I don't think you have enough time.
Go into the history a little bit. I mean, how long were you in Decrypt? Like, talk about tours.
Actively.
Shows.
If I'm going to put it in a nutshell for you, Zach did 2 albums with them guys. And for whatever reason, didn't want to do it anymore. I was working at Guitar Center. He told me he was disinterested. I think he skipped a show to go to a Hawks game. I
kind of remember that. I might have been at the Hawks game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Whatever. No time to grind.
I think I had the...
But so he had brought up, I guess, to Brad and Chris of Decrypt. I don't even know if he had said anything, to be honest with you. But I know he had talked to me, and then all of a sudden, those guys came into Guitar Center, asked me like, "Hey, Zach quit. You want to try out?" And here's a really good rock and roll story for you.
That's what we want.
Prepare for battle. Prepare. So the first night I try out. We're out in Dyer. Cool. You're the guy. You're gonna work. I'm like, all right. I know this house party going on. Let's go. Out in New Chicago. Beware, kids of New Chicago. We head out there to this house party, and we party it up a little. I'm not going into details. Use imagination.
Yeah.
But we're leaving, and it's like 2 a.m, and I'm driving through New Chicago.
Watch out for them cops in New Chicago.
Yeah, and for those of you listening right now, #New Chicago. There you go. Right. But anyways, I get pulled over, and I get arrested. The first night I joined the band with the OWI.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's funny because at the time, Jimbo, our bass player, he was like, man, he was young
so
as
young
hell.
back then.
Yeah. And I mean, we were of age, but not by. I think I joined Decrypt, and I was probably like 22, 23 maybe. So it wasn't that far off. But so I got arrested, and the cops made them guys walk to my apartment over on 51 by Burger King, a good couple miles, in the cold. And
your destiny was forever.
It was altered from there. Yeah. And we just went right off the bat. I had like 2 albums worth of material to learn, and it was just so much right away. I mean, in the long run, I think it made me a lot better. As if I'm any good now, whatever, it's a matter of opinion.
You're very good now,
but
you've always been good.
It was good. Decrypt was a good time. We had a couple tours. We did one in 2006, and I think 2004, 2005. We played out in Mexico. We play with a number of huge bands. I mean, you name it: Cephalic Carnage, Dying Fetus, Misery Index, Putrid Pile. Throwing those names out there.
Yeah, I like it.
Cashing them checks.
Cashing those checks, making them stacks.
Yeah.
Name drop.
We went hard in the paint for I'd say from 2004 to about when we folded in 2010. I couldn't tell you how many shows or festivals we played. Because back then it was like you're in your 20s and it's like, hey, I got to go to this job tomorrow. But you know what? I'm going to go play Texas instead. So it just not sure.
Yeah, it was your passion.
Yeah.
And it still is. If no one's ever heard Decrypt, check them out.
Most underrated grindcore album.
Yeah, it's
the last.
It's extreme. We'll definitely put a couple tracks out there on our YouTube playlist. So
that's my Mark Wahlberg story, my rock star story.
That's your rock star story.
Yeah, I was so into those guys. Like when I wasn't in the band, and that first album, Holy Erotic Rapture, dropped.
Yeah,
and I was like, I remember looking at Zach. We're at Simmons's house, and I was just like, man, dude, you did this. You guys did that. Like that's the end of the world. Like it's crazy.
Here's something I think that's really important with the whole Decrypt tree. I'll call it like the family tree. The whole production aspect with them was always quality.
Yeah.
Always, like all the way up to the Handsome Prick stuff we're going to talk about today, and shout out to Brad Vanderzee for that, because he's a great musician, but I think he also has a great ear. And I mean, I don't ever remember hearing this type of music with such a clear recording. Usually with any death metal or deathcore or death grind, whatever the hell you want to call it, the production is a little bit shitty. I mean, because a lot of people or producers don't even know how to produce it, or they don't care, so it was usually throughout the years just crappy.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of like that early death metal demos from like the early 2000s, late 90s and stuff. There's a lot of garbage going around.
And who was the guy, what was his name, Neil, that produced all the earlier Decrypt
Neil
stuff?
Bergdahl from Stump, and he's from Point of Our Resistance, Poor, which Brad is also in. They're from California. They have an album out. Got another one that's just waiting to be dropped.
And Evil Dead, or not the Evil
Dirty
Dead, but Dirty Dead, my bad.
Nah.
I know that movie, though.
Yeah, I know, right? Dirty Dead, that's their Misfits horror punk tribute stuff. They have another album they're working on. That should hopefully come out next year. I know Brad's going to be working on that after finishing the Handsome Prick. So
good. So Decrypt eventually stopped, and then there was another band that you were in called Moistened Disciples, and that was Brad Vanderzee, the drummer from Decrypt, and then Zach Gaja, who was the original vocalist from Decrypt, but he was on guitar.
Well, and not to cut you off
go
on
ahead,
that, but Zach, he was on the albums, the actual releases, Holy Erotic and The Split. But he was, I don't know how many guys they went through, because I know on the demo it's just Brad and Chris, the Armageddon, the Armageddon, but the transmissions.
Okay.
From the bleep hole.
You could say it.
I told you I'm a changed man. I can't do it, even if I'm allowed. Yeah, but no, Zach was definitely a number in the line somewhere, but he was the guy on the records, so he's the guy that counted.
Okay.
But
fast forwarding back to Moistened Disciples, what do you have to say? I mean, what do you have to say about that and that whole experience? I mean, I remember seeing you guys live. There's one album out, correct?
Right. Yeah, we put that out in 2015, which is weird because that album had actually been done for like 10 years. And him and, Brad left the Crypt for a little bit, and him and Zach did that album together. And it was a great album.
It is. It's extreme.
Oh, yeah.
It's extra shots of espresso, Shretton. Whenever you get tired, listen to some Moistened Disciples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Espresso on pads,
Espresso on meth. But yeah. All right.
So yeah, we they did that, and then I think it was right around like 2009, 2010 when we had a fest. Our guitar player from Decrypt, Chris Montez, was booking at the time. Like the first and last show, he only did 3 years, but those shows were at the Rave in Milwaukee, the Midwest Fuck Fest.
There you go.
Yeah, great marketing gimmick.
And Stratton knows him. Stratton used to work with Chris.
Yeah.
I didn't know I knew him. I'm not in those circles, and it was kind of a surprise to
hear the name.
And then hear him. Yeah, I guess we worked at Gauchos together. We were.
Yeah.
He worked at Gauchos too.
That's the last Decrypt show was at Gauchos in 2010.
Was it in the basement or upstairs?
Yeah, it's always in the basement.
Yeah, that's why I always ask. Because my brother booked a couple shows in the basement, and that basement was just, at first it was awesome when it was a martini bar, And then they took everything out of
Twisted
there.
martinis, dude.
And it ended up being it was like a swamp down there. Every time it rained,
Oh, it
everything was
stunk.
wet, and it stunk. It was full of
stunk.
mildew. And then, like for those concerts or the shows, they would bust out. They would bring in all the electrical equipment, and there's just shit laying all over the floor in like a quarter inch of water. It just smelled.
Oh, I've been to old Decrypt house shows where they played in.
Oh yeah, back to Chris though in the fuck fest stuff and what you were getting at. Like,
yeah. So yeah, we did our first show together because they were like they wanted to do that stuff live, and at the time I was kind of in and out of Decrypt, and I was like, I guess just natural choice to do that because there ain't many people around that can at least bring to the table live like I can their music, that they write, because it's very hard. It's very strenuous, I mean, it sounds
abrasive.
like a bunch of fucking angry, ignorant people, but it's really not. It's calculated,
Yeah, I agree. It's calculated chaos. I think that's a good way of describing it to the average ear or the average person. Not talking down if you're average, but when you put it on, you're like, that's noise. No, it's not. It's not noise. If you're a musician and you're watching and you're really listening, it's not noise. It's kind of it's heavy metal. It's heavy metal flexing on steroids, but like the best version of it. It's very
very good. The
very
best.
good. The best. It might be on the Grammys.
It
The
might
Grammys
be.
are coming up.
The Grindies.
The Grindies. All right, but next, the other band now is Handsome Prick. That's what's going on these days. So could you tell us a little bit about your album? The previous one before the new one that's coming out this year?
Well, our first album we put out last year was Enlarge the Show Texture, and you can get that on Bandcamp and Facebook and Twitter. Just hit us up on any of those.
Tweet him.
Look us up. #Handsome Prick. HP Grind. But yeah, we did that album, and we've been playing those songs to death, and it seemed like as soon as that album came out, like Brad, being the machine he is, he had another album ready to go, and so we went around and we tried to sell what we could and get ourselves out there and play whatever we could, and we're still trying to do that and seeing it improve every year. I think we've been playing live together for 2 years now, which is pretty much 2-3 years, kind of like the existence of Handsome Prick thus far. So, we're going to be like the Grind Beatles, putting out albums all the time.
Good. Are you excited, Stretton?
He's ecstatic.
The Grind Beatles.
The Grind Beatles. There you go. Good.
Are they like the shitty Beatles?
They like the shitty Beatles. Just to reflect back on that whole little discography there of what Justin's been in, he is a really good promoter of what he's into on social media. I think you would be a great promoter as like a side hustle.
Hey, if somebody gave me a bunch of money and said, manage this and do whatever, I would destroy.
You would. You've always been good at that. And that's that one thing too. Like, I don't know if you've patted yourself on your back, but I'm going to now. You're that driving force behind Decrypt, behind Moistened Disciples, and Handsome Prick that puts it out there on a marketable level.
Yeah.
So whoever's listening, like, we're joking and you might not know our sarcasm or whatever, but all sarcasm and bullshit aside, like, he is very, very good at that. And you're very, very good at being a vocalist for that type of music. But I feel like you would be my guy if I started. You would be my guy if I was to start a record label. Like, you're very good at promotion.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's something I've always wanted to do, but, finances and family and life don't always work out the way you want it. But, that's due to my years in retail and just music in general, and as you age you get smarter, you learn how to handle things a little better, and I think right now especially I'm like at my peak, the best I've ever been as far as promoting. I don't care if I'm saturating the hell out of people's feeds,
Yeah.
And that's what you gotta do a lot of times, because Facebook wants you to pay for a certain amount of people to see your post, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's something like that's not a part
But
of
they're
my person.
publicly traded, so whatever. They got to charge you something. I try to put it out there because it comes naturally because it's stuff I believe in, and it's that raw and that real to me, to where I look at it as if I got this cell phone in hand, right? And say if I'm not doing music or I'm not taking care of family stuff or doing whatever, I'm sitting here and I got my downtime. It's not really downtime because then I look at it and I'm like, I might as well, throw this out here, throw this link out there, and try to generate some traffic and some presence. I mean, I know the other guys don't like doing it. No knock to them, but
but you do a great
sucks.
job at it. I mean, you really do. And going back to the do-it-yourself kind of mentality and that particular genre, like it needs that. And like you said, it's a very honest.
It's so easy to do nowadays too. It's so easy. Like with social media, like you look back even not even 10 years ago, and it's like you didn't have, even with the MySpace stuff, like the technology wasn't there yet to where people are sharing, and all the platforms, I should say, with all these different apps and everything,
But in comparison to like your passion and that type of music, this particular genre, in my opinion, like you're not going to find a group that's more passionate and honest, because
we're more real.
Exactly, they're just real. It's all about the real. Like I said, this isn't going to be on the Grammys or
There's
whatever.
no shtick.
There's no shtick. There's no gimmick. No bullshit. The underground metal scene is a very passionate group, and I love it. That's what I've always loved about it. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Handsome Prick. We're going to play that now for you. Check it out. This is the new single. What's the album called?
Anonymityville, and the song is called Fearless Secretor. It's the first song.
Peep Game. Check it out. Now I want to get into Justin Wallace's top 10 albums of the year. His opinion is important to me, and everybody else should check it out.
Fuck my opinion.
And especially because of the fact, he knows this particular genre, not putting it in a box, but I know it's going to be heavy.
I like to be put in a box.
I'm not putting you in one. Are you the freak from Pulp
Flesh
Fiction?
box.
But yeah.
No, I'm Quentin Tarantino and From Dusk Till Dawn.
Are you? You're that guy? He's so creepy.
I'm that guy right
He's
now.
so creepy.
Yeah. It's like, I can do that for you. What you asked me.
I like those glasses, by the way.
Thank you.
You can see better now.
I can. I have 20/20. I had, you know what? And here's a quick story. Well, this means nothing to anybody, but it's funny because this is how ghetto the juice can be. I haven't had a new pair of glasses in like 10 years up until now, and I had the lenses from a pair that broke, and what I did was I taped them on a broke ass pair of safety glasses, and I would use those to drive because I can't see at night when I'm driving.
You did that for 10 years?
For 10 years, yeah.
I have two questions for you. Handsome Prick.
Yeah.
Song themes. What are the majority of the songs about? Do you guys have like a certain, I know most bands, whether they want to or not, they end up having repetitious themes to their songs, either lyrically or there's certain words they like to use. Yeah, do you guys have certain themes or is the first album something and the second album's a different one?
I mean, there's thematically, if you can say that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, just even the color schemes of like the albums and stuff, and there's a lot of that thought process. But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, like the music was laid out and it's music first, lyrics and stuff come second. And that's very, some bands may bullshit you on that, but that's like very much for the most part it's done. Because Brad writes 99.9% of the stuff, you know, and so he's already got some themes and whatever in mind, you know. And it's really, I mean, it's just who we are. I can't really say that we go in looking for some kind of what would you call that, like a concept album or anything, but it's just varying things to deal with. We have dark senses of humor, you know, a lot of stuff maybe the mainstream populace wouldn't find that amusing or funny, but I mean, there's the songs. I'll put it to you this way: there's a song about it's called "Pro Shot Couple Pictures," and it's real epic song, real long. That's just about like Brad being annoyed by like couples like taking, you know, all these professional like pictures together. Like it's just, and I get it too. It's like, because it is annoying. Like I don't want to see your post on that shit. You know, I don't care. But you know, stuff like that. I mean, I guess you could call that what would you say? We're very immature for our age. But I mean,
so there's humor sprinkled throughout the whole thing, and then whatever pops humor in your head, really whatever.
Serious, yeah. Oh so yeah.
It's all over the place, but good themes and.
Yeah, I'll put it to you, the best way I think anybody could ever describe our music would be it is what it is. You know, there's really no preset plan other than like it's what we like to hear, you know? And that's why, I mean, it's grind, whatever, it's knee deep embedded in that style of music, but it's really not. It's so much more, you know? It's rock, I hate the whole genre thing. You know, people, it's rock. It's
right.
Like if I would just call it rock and roll.
Yeah, I feel like, especially live, seeing you perform and the others, the sense of humor comes out. I mean, I've known you guys for a long time, but especially your live, like him being the front man.
I'm the worst front man.
No, he's really good. Like he's hilarious. Like their music, I think it's maybe because I do know their personalities, but their music and their sense of humor, it shines. Like you said, you laughed, right, Sretton? Like when you listened to it, there was like parts where you laughed.
Yeah, parts of it because that's kind of, it's a good transition for my second question.
Okay,
what do you do to keep your voice able to do the things you can do with your voice? Because you do some like quick light stuff, and then you do that deep growl stuff. Then you do, I mean, it's all over the place. And a normal human, I mean, do you like cough up blood in the morning? What's up, man?
I always wanted to know.
It's
like,
semen,
what's your, do you cough up a bunch of semen?
Yeah, semen from the show, Filthy Beggars.
Yeah, I don't know that world. So that's why I'm asking the question. I'm learning a lot of stuff tonight. But yeah, do you have like a regiment? Are you like, you get nuts
and
like
then
you
Jim
get
Morrison?
home? You get home and you make yourself a nice green
Jim
tea
Morrison,
with half honey and like what the hell do you do to keep your voice in check? Like so you're not.
I do a lot of this.
What's
that?
Oh,
drinking.
You drink?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
just a little bit. You know, LaCroix every day. Cheap plug.
What? Hey, real quick, what's your favorite LaCroix flavor right now?
Right now, it's key lime.
Oh,
it's great. It tastes
that's
like.
That's not what Joe was looking for.
I was looking for that pample.
I should have brought you one.
I like key lime.
Have you had key lime?
Yeah, it's good.
Brad just told me about it, and I was blew away. I found some, and it tastes and smells like liquid Skittles.
I'm down with that.
I like Skittles.
All right, but back to how do you clear your throat to scream the whole fucking time?
Well,
you know, maintain it.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm 35 now, and I've been doing this particular style of singing, if you will, for a good, I don't know, 13, 14 years, something like that. And I don't do, you know, I'm not the guy selling you the DVD of how to be an underground metal singer or anything.
You don't do yoga?
No, I mean, you know.
Are you sure?
No, I did yoga once. Maybe
hard.
I should do some DDP yoga. Cheap plug. It's just natural aggression. Like it's probably pretty ignorant on my part. I try to do some things now that kind of keep my vocals to a point where I know they can at least operate. You know, because I know if I smoke a certain number of cigarettes or whatever, it affects what you do. You know.
So you've been doing it for so long, you kind of know exactly where to. Like we do a podcast about working out, and two of the guys are trainers.
I work out.
One of the guys just been working out, he's just been working out for the last 15 years, and he just knows his body. He knows exactly
it's like
the way
that.
His body, and he knows exactly how to.
But at the same time, I'm still learning.
That's a good point.
Like
Strat.
I said, like as I'm older now, but I've learned a lot more, like technique wise. But I don't think my vocals are as strong as maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Whatever.
I think you're great. I think you're doing the same thing you've been doing for a while.
That's that humble pie.
Yeah, it's all about being humble. But all right, yeah, those were good questions. I
appreciate those questions.
My mom, she wanted to know. I'm like, hey, mom,
Thanks,
what should I ask him? She's like, does he prepare for his voice? But we got Stratton here to ask those.
That was
mom
a very
questions.
good question, though. Was that Donna? Was that Donna question?
My mom, Donna Riley. She wanted to know.
Rocks.
How does he prepare for that? I'm like, I don't know. Is it tea? Is it green tea? Is it black
you know
tea?
what? I never practiced that stuff, but like I said, I'm older now, and I got to, and some of that stuff does help. You know, the tea and the hot, especially the warm tea. You know. Because I'm killing my vocal cords, stressing them out, doing that stuff, and then I pull the Axl Rose and go smoke a pack of cigarettes right afterwards.
Bunch of Marlboro Reds.
And then I complain that I can't sing.
Marlboro Reds, Orange LaCroix,
Cowboy
maybe Pamplemousse, whatever, you know. But
Pamplemousse.
he likes that key lime right now, but
hey man, key lime cold. I got the key lime cold.
But all right, let's get into your top 10 albums of 2017.
Top 10 albums.
What do you got? I'll start with the first one.
Well, by the way, these are not like rated like this
in a
is
particular
my
order.
number one.
Let's just jump into that Cannibal Corpse.
Oh yeah, Red Before
Cannibal
Black.
Corpse.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I got that album, and the first single I heard, I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's really thrashy. The production and just songwriting and everything.
And who's producing it again? Isn't it
Eric Rutan? Yeah, Hate Eternal. And it's and then you were over and we had a good midnight sesh, and
we did.
Oh man, and that album was just great at that point. You know, I mean, I was very well surprised. There's some jams on there that are your typical Cannibal stuff, but a lot of it to me is just, you know, with the whole new production and everything is it's a little bit different for them, a little bit fresher approach, you know.
What number album is it?
Oh man, I don't even
15?
know. 15? No, I don't think it's like that. I think it's like maybe 11 or something like that.
Okay.
11 or 12, I don't know.
It's one of my favorite death metal albums of the year, and what I liked about 2017 as far as death metal goes, there was a lot of bands. Everybody was putting out stuff like it's oversaturated, but the old school ones that we grew up with, they were putting out albums that I really, really like.
Yeah.
And the Cannibal Corpse one was really good. Like the production is awesome. Paul's drums sound great.
Yeah.
You know, and the guitar work is solid.
Oh yeah.
You
And
know,
Fisher's always solid too.
Yeah, I mean it's George.
The only thing I would say I didn't like about that album was there's only a couple songs you can really hear Alex. You know, Alex Webster,
I always
bass
wondered
player.
about that. Yeah,
because the last couple albums of production, I can't tell you who did it, but the bass, especially on the last album, I thought stood out a lot more.
Okay.
Which is good for them because he writes a lot of their songs too.
Yeah, he's the man. It's Alex Webster and Paul Mazurkowitz are the two.
I tell Brad he looks like he's a young Paul Mazurkowitz.
They're the two remaining members. That's it. The original members is Paul and Alex, right?
Yeah.
For Corpse, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, and they're the heavy hitters from Buffalo. What about your next one? What do you got to say? Like,
my next one is a band called Troubled Horse.
Okay.
And they're the Swedes. You know, there's this whole genre of music that's like from Sweden that's based on like ancient heavy rock. You know, like whether it's like you got bands like Ghost that are doing the kind of what do you call it? Who's that damn band from the Will Ferrell thing? You know what I'm talking about?
With the cowbell.
Yeah, the cowbell.
Yeah, just a good old prog rock.
I feel like an
Classic
idiot
rock.
right now that I don't know that. But you know what? I've had a lot of beers. And they're a very well-known band.
This is how I feel.
Called Blue Oyster Cult. There we go.
There you go.
God.
It happens, man.
So, yeah, you know, and then you got bands like The Witchcraft. They're trying to be like Pentagram, Sabbath-y. They're kind of in that mix. And it's actually, I believe, I don't know, someone's going to fucking wiki or fact check me. And
probably not.
Just a heads up, kids. I'm probably wrong. But at least give you an idea. anyways, I think it's the drummer and the guitarist. The original guys from Witchcraft. They're in this band.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they
Witchcraft's the shit.
Yeah, they're a good band. I still like them. They put out an album a year or two ago called Nucleus.
Yeah, I wouldn't call any of this doom. I would call it like a classic rock 70s.
Yeah, it's like throwback stuff.
Throwback, like a progressive classic rock, right?
Yeah.
I like to use that word progressive.
Yeah, and it's cool because like bands like Witchcraft, they used to record all analog, all vintage gear, and it came across like it's something you could play for your parents, and they were like, "Yeah, I remember this." It's like, no, you don't. You never heard it.
This group that you're talking about, what's their name again?
Troubled Horse.
Troubled Horse. I checked it out. You told me to check it out.
Yeah, they do. I like Warren Zevon cover too. It's really great.
They noodle a lot. There's a lot of guitar noodling work. So
I'm a big noodler.
I feel like if you're gonna check this out and you like classic rock, put your brain cap on. Your thinking cap. It's not too complex, but there's a lot of noodling.
Yeah.
It's not following any same like song structure.
No, but and like the vocals is really good. Like it reminds me if like Witchcraft were to put out another good album. So
okay, cool. What's the next group?
Well, Exhumed I had on my list. Death Revenge. I picked that one up, pre-ordered that, had that on vinyl. Matt Harvey and his gang of dastardly fellow.
You ever play with those dudes live?
I'm trying. I haven't. I think Brad did when he was out in California. He was out there for a couple years with Poor.
They've been around.
Oh, yeah.
When you suggested this to me, too, I listened to it today, and it was good.
Yeah, it was cool for me because, like, even the whole, and, go back to you talk about me promoting and stuff. Like, for me, and that album is a concept album, and it's, I'd hate to do any injustice by not telling what it's really about because I just, I'm not in that frame of mind. But
keep it real.
They had something going on with like some 1800s like killer. I think maybe it was in the UK or something. But every song had its own story, piece of the story, and it had its own artwork. And they had like these weird horror movie like kind of synths like music going on in between, before and after some of the songs, and the way it was marketed and like the artwork and everything. It just had good vibes about it, and they always tear it up.
Okay,
it's a great album.
What about the next? What's another album in your top 10?
My other album, most people might not like this, but Glenn Danzig.
All right, let's get into that. Let's get into it.
Let's
let's get into the Danzig album. What you like about
Black Laden Crown? It's plagued by bad production. It is it's Glenn producing it, and
but good. What do you like though? What do you like about it?
Well, I like the songs, and I like that Danzig's 62, and you crank that album on, and he's still like vocally. I mean, he's lost a step or two, but
we all
dude. I could only hope to be half of what I can do at 62.
Okay,
and I think it's a lot harder to actually sing, than what I do. And I try to incorporate that into it too, and it makes it even tougher. But it's a great album. I think song wise, it's really doomy, like kind of Sabbathy. It's some of the stuff he did on there, vocal wise. It's the best thing I've heard from him. And I've seen him a couple times live. I saw we were at the Misfits at Riot Fest.
Yeah, I was there.
I think I've seen him the last 3 years. I was at Riot Fest this year. Yeah, in Danzig. Right. Here's a little quick story for you kids. I was going
to ask you this question. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, you know where I'm going.
I brought it up before, I think, in another podcast.
It's a long way back from hell. But anyways, so I'm at Riot Fest, and I'm not one of those guys where I go to a show and record everything, but I like to have a little piece of it, because you can hear me talk, I can't remember shit.
A little piece for yourself?
Yeah. So I record the first and the last song, right? And I put them on YouTube, and I'm just like, hey, man, this was badass, because it was a great show. I was very well impressed. And next thing you know, and it was so weird. I'm at work, a couple weeks after the gig, and I'm actually talking to my boss about it, and like, hey, man, check this out. This is what I filmed. Like, Danzig was awesome. And I showed it to him, and then it ended up being like a minute later, I got a thing from YouTube saying I had a copyright infringement Glenn Danzig had filed something against me, and if I was to do anything else, he would have. They would delete my YouTube and take all my videos and all that, you know. And I have the screenshot. I showed you a screenshot. It's like Glenn Danzig has filed a copyright claim. Like, I'm sorry, Glenn.
Damn, Glenn.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate. What about another album, though?
You gotta warn me when you do that.
Sorry about that. You know what? I'm just gonna give you a brief. I'm not even gonna look at my list. I'm just gonna do this one off the gill. This is one that I didn't have on my original list, but that new Morbid Angel, Kingdom's Disdain. Like, I was never a huge Morbid fan. I like their stuff with Tucker. You know, Formulas. One of my favorite Formulas, Fatal to the Flesh.
I love old. That's what I was saying about this year, real quick. Is there was a lot of good shit coming out, death metal wise, like bands I grew up with that were dropping stuff. And Morbid Angel, you told me about this maybe a week ago.
Yeah.
And I liked it, but go ahead.
Just, you know, they put out an album in 2011 when David Vincent got back with him, and it was like,
was he wearing leather pants?
Oh yeah,
great.
He was doing all kinds of stupid stuff.
He's the bass player singer, correct?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
They were doing, you know, they put on an album. It's kind of hard to pronounce, but so I'm not going to. But for you Morbid Angel fans, it's the I album.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Damn, they're on I right now in the alphabet. Yeah.
They put out a Record Store Day release. I forget what it's called, but they did a J album, and it was only released for Record Store Day. It's a live album.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
so
a cool
now they're
concept.
on K, Kingdom's Disdained, you know?
Oh, okay.
But it's just a return to form. Their last album was garbage, pure garbage. They had like 2 songs that resembled who Morbid Angel was, you know?
What do you like about this one, though?
Oh, man, it's just so dark. It's heavy. It's fast, you know, the vocals, everything. It's just aesthetically, the whole thing together, man, it comes together really good.
And when we're talking about these old school bands real quick, that we were into when we were younger, this is one that I really, really loved, being from the Chicagoland area, is Broken Hope. What do you feel about I know that's on your top 10 list.
Yeah. Mutilated and Assimilated, if I'm correct. From what I gather, that was based on like The Thing. I think that album was kind of
based off The Thing,
somewhat
the movie?
conceptual. Yeah. Jeremy Wagner, the guitar player, he's a horror buff. I think he writes books and novels.
Okay.
Anybody that doesn't know.
All right. How about this? The Darkness.
Oh man, great album. The last great rock band, dude. Their Darkness are over the top, and just like the heaviness mixed with the melody and the harmonies. Every song front to back, and then to top it off, they have like 4 B-side tracks. You know, because they do it like the old school rock bands, all proper. Like
Japanese Prisoner. What's Japanese Prisoner?
Japanese Prisoner of Love. Dude.
Yeah.
Japanese Prisoner.
What's that? Who is that?
That's a Darkness, dude.
Is it a Darkness?
Yeah, it's a Darkness song. It's heavy, and like I said, they got like just those high ass Freddie Mercury, whoever the dude was from like Sweet-esque vocals, you know, and it's powerful stuff, dude. Like, and they're another band that like.
That's one of your faves. I know that's one of your favorite. Like,
because they don't take themselves seriously either. You know, I mean, they're goofy as hell, but when you listen to that, what's going on, it's so fucking serious. You know? It's.
You brought that to our vinyl night. We had that vinyl night. You brought that out.
Yeah.
It was good.
And Stratton's vinyl player was trying to eat it. The brand new heavyweight vinyl.
Yeah. Stratton had this, real quick, we had a vinyl night at the Green Thor, and Stratton and Michael had this, like, hey, Joe, we don't need to use your turntable anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. But they had this 1950... It looked like a cat's tail at the fucking end of the stylus.
It puts the record on for you and starts to play
it was
you.
tearing up my shit.
Yeah, and then it scratches it for you.
For you. It was scratching it for you. Yeah, you're messing up our really hipstery bootleg albums, so thanks.
You guys had the records that were made out of various materials. Of course, the record, it was like pressed with... It was like one was made out of jelly beans, one was made out of like recycled newspaper.
They weren't ready for that in the 1950s. Like, this is clear vinyl from 03.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine what guys from the 50s would think about vinyl now?
They'd be like, you hipster son of a bitches, just go away.
Yeah. They probably have like these weird mustaches and putting up their dukes at me.
But the vinyl thing's cool. I like the I like how it's coming back because it's nice to buy the package.
If you got the right setup, I think it's still the best way to listen to music and be comfortable and have that big ass picture in front of you.
How about this band on your top 10, Midnight? What's up with that?
Oh man, I just got really introduced to those guys by Brad. Well, I say those guys because it's a one man thing, like recording, but they play all live, and they got some members that do drums and bass and all that, guitar. And it's kind of like Motorhead meets Venom type stuff.
It's a good description.
Yeah, but I've never really been a big Venom fan. I like Motorhead.
Venom's like that band you have to respect if you're into death metal or anything.
Yeah, I don't have to respect anyone.
That's goddamn right.
I mean, I don't know. Certain bands, I mean, I get that, but I never really got into them. But they do this whole thing pretty damn well. It's black rock and roll, satanic stuff, great artwork. It's like two demon chicks scissoring each other on the cover with snakes coming out of their mammalian protuberances.
That's a good idea. That's a good concept. Midnight, Sweet Death and Ecstasy.
Very catchy.
Here we go. Back to the old school shit again. Suffocation of the Dark Light. What's up with that?
Yeah, so we played with them guys like, what was it, right before the album came out? Some like tail end of last year.
Okay.
And they were playing. It sucks because we saw him play with Kevin Talley from Dying Fetus, Misery Index, and it was like, man, dude, they're gonna do an album with Kevin Talley, like it's gonna be off the hook. But unfortunately, it didn't happen, and they got this new guy. He tears it up as well. The thing
on the drums, right?
Oh yeah, new drummer, and they also have I think Frank Mullen, the vocalist. He's like. Something weird with his job won't let him leave a lot anymore. He's content.
Something weird with his goatee and his wife beater tank top that he wears. Yeah.
Frank Mellon.
But I love Suffocation. No disrespect to Frank, man. He's just a working class kind of guy. He's got that working class vibe.
Terrence is awesome. Like I hung out with him and he was really good people, man. He's a good guy straight up. But it's
is Terrence still playing a Fender?
No,
didn't he have a Fender back in the day?
I think so. Probably, or that was Levasseur.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, from Cryptopsy.
Yeah. But yeah, Suffocation. If you've never heard of Suffocation.
It's Suffo, but it's fast.
Okay.
Faster.
All right. What about Benighted, Necrobreed? I really like this, for heavy, crazy shit.
I listened to that album, to be honest with you, like for a few weeks, just nonstop on the way.
What country are they from? Do you remember?
I think Benight's from France.
France? They're French?
I think so.
They're
if
French?
I'm wrong, then everybody call me a poser. Fuck 'em.
Yeah, they are French. They're French. You're correct. It has a Suppleteur and a Marduk cover? Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Like I said, that was early. I even forgot that album came out this year.
Right.
Because I was doing this, my original list for Indie Metal Vault. And I've never been asked this before, It's like, this is kind of weird you put on the spot. And it's like, well, I guess these are 10 albums I listen to most. Like I said, for several weeks, I blast that album, and it's really, it's top-notch death grind stuff.
Good. In number 10, I'll put it out there. This is the 10th one, and this is probably one of my favorite ones that you have on your list. It's Blood Clot, Up in Arms, and this has members from Danzig, Queen of the Stone Age, and also Cro-Mags.
Yeah, the original singer.
John Joseph from Cro-Mags is the vocalist here. I love John Joseph. He has this book out called Meat is for Pussies, and it's amazing, and everyone needs to check that out as soon as possible. He really, really puts out there how the meat industry is garbage and how they're trying to kill us slowly. And I'm not here to to promote it, but I kind of am, or any hipstery new trends. But watch what you're eating, people. And John Joseph is awesome. He does triathlons, and he doesn't drink and do drugs anymore. He's a strong boy. Yeah, he comes from a strong root. He's an Irishman that was brought up in a foster home, And I love Cro-Mags. I love John Joseph, but he's the lead singer, and the drummer is Joey.
Joey C, man.
Joey C. Castillo, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Well, we're white guys, so we're wetos, so we're probably butchering the pronunciation.
We are gringos.
Yeah.
We are gringos.
Gringo.
But Joey's the shit too.
Oh,
He's in
man.
like what other bands is he in right now? Trash Talk, isn't that one of them?
I don't know. I don't know about those guys. I know he's doing that Zach Sabbath with Zach Wild.
Yeah, he's in Trash Talk. Zach Sabbath with Zach Wild.
Yeah, he's done a lot of guest
He
stuff.
is the
with
shit.
people,
Like
too.
he's my buddy on Instagram. And
He drummed for Danzig too.
yeah,
and Queens
with
of the Stone Age.
Queens of the Stone Age. I think Queens of the Stone Age or bass players in Blood Clot. They're badass.
Yeah, well, no, Todd Youth
Is
the
that who-
guitar player?
Okay.
Yeah, he was with Danzig and he's
Is
done a
Todd
bunch
Youth
of
was
other stuff.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, but I out of your list here, like that was like for sure my favorite punk rock album of the year.
The very tail end of the album, like it gets. I mean, it's good. It's a little slick. You know, I'm not gonna say it's too slick for my liking, but it's
Like as far as overproduced.
Yeah, you know, for punk stuff. But it's good to hear that type of aggressive punk coming out. You know, like if you remember, like early 2000s, late 90s, all that bubblegum
Bullshit.
and I like,
It is what
my
it is.
punk. I like pop punk. You know, I like Descendants, stuff like that. You know, but that Blink 182 era, remember that? That was just
garbage.
it was so god awful.
It's garbage.
Warped Tour, rest in piss.
There's some pop punk I guess I could get into, but definitely not that particular group. But a transition, and I have some questions for you. All right.
Yeah.
You know, you've been in a band for over 15 years. You're in your 30s. What's your opinion on cover bands?
They're bullshit. They're just guys that are out to, you know, they're out for the dollar. And I mean, you got to do that. If you're an artist, you have to make money. And that's why I tried to do as much like social media stuff and whatever, and business transactions, behind the scenes stuff really too. Like a lot of people don't know, you know, I mean, I do a lot of, and believe it or not, it's a lot of stuff I've learned just from pro wrestling and whatever business stuff. But, you know, just like trying to get deals going with local breweries. Like, hey, you know, we're on this album. We're a local band that's doing it. Like, you know, I've been trying to talk to Three Floyds and Devil's Trumpet and to get, you know, nothing's been worked out yet. But, you know, there's been some talks about some things and whatnot. And I'm just trying to generate interest, you know. And
But yeah, with the cover thing, it's bullshit in your opinion because are you kind of copping out maybe a little bit?
yeah, you're definitely, you know, I mean,
And no disrespect to anybody who's in a cover band.
well, yeah, because
I just want to know
be
your
covering
opinion.
some really
'cause
technical
you've been
stuff,
at this,
and it could be good. But I just think, like creatively, like as an artist, you should. If it's a cop out, you know.
Why do I want to retrace this picture that I really love
Yeah,
on a piece of paper
Yeah.
to put it up like it's my own?
and the thing is
And
like,
I've done that. You
it's
know,
the
we
same-
we did Jane Doe together on my
Yeah,
wall. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But it's not mine,
right.
right?
It's weird with a lot of these cover bands. It's the same thing that's always been. It's your AC, at least around here. You know, your AC/DC guys, your Led Zeppelin cover bands. You know, the Midwest stuff. You know.
Here's my opinion with that. If you're going to be a cover band or a tribute band, just be the best tribute cover band that you can be.
Yeah.
My next question is this. The whole hologram thing. What's your opinion on the hologram scandal with Frank Zappa? I know you're a big Frank Zappa guy. We could get into this forever. Are you for it or against it real quick?
I'm a Libra, so I'm very well balanced, and I'm kind of on both sides.
I don't believe you.
I am. And that was another one of my top tens, Zappa Halloween. It was 7 discs, I think, 1977, all the shows he did at the Hollywood Palladium. And it's a great album. I mean, similar sets, but his band was based on improvisation, so a lot of good stuff, good musicianship and everything.
Are you
going on.
for the whole hologram thing? Because wasn't his son against it? Wasn't Zappa's son against it?
One is and one isn't. You know, there's the Zappa Family Trust, which is Ahmet Zappa and the younger sister Diva, and then there's Dweezil and Moon Unit Zappa. And Dweezil, I've seen him 3 times. He's great, and I've met him, and my son has met him, who's also named after Frank Zappa.
Andrew Zappa Wallace, what's up, dude?
And Anders from Nasum.
That's right.
He was a
nephew.
really great dude, and I thought what he's doing as a tribute to his father and being able to play his father's stuff, because it is difficult. Like,
So he is playing it live.
yeah,
Okay.
like, dude, they teach Zappa music in college. Like, that's how he was a composer. You know, he just knew how to write things for all these different instruments. And there's some beef going on with the family trust. There's Dweezil's side, there's Ambat's side. And
so the boy's for it? That's what I'm kind of confused about.
One of them is. One of them is.
Okay.
Dweezil isn't, because
Okay.
Dweezil's like, hey, I go out there and I do it myself, and that's the best way to do it. And I agree, I mean.
So are you for a Tupac hologram or an Eazy-E hologram?
No, well, they've done both of those.
Right.
It's cool if I'm that guy sitting there in my boxers, all hairy, with a coffee in a robe, watching YouTube before I go to work, and I see, Eazy-E doing some stuff with Bone Thugs at, what was it, Coachella or one of those things, Tupac, like that.
Right.
That's cool. But to go see it, they're doing a Dio hologram tour.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of against.
I'm kind of tempted to see that, though, because it's Ronnie James Dio, man. I screwed up by not seeing him, man.
It's just so fake. It's kind of plastic to me.
It is.
I'm a fan of letting a man or a woman rest after they pass.
It's like watching Milli Vanilli, but
and
not getting pissed that they're lip syncing.
If I really, the way I look at it, it's like there's a lot of musicians that I love that have passed away. If I really want to
You
get
gotta
in touch
leave it
again,
alone.
I'll just listen to the album.
Yeah, and that's where it is. It's all business, and that's how it is in this day and age. And that's why I try to do some of the things I do, but not get carried away, because it becomes a point of disgust. Like, and especially the visual aspect, when you see it, it's like trying to resurrect this deceased person. It's creepy, man.
And I'm gonna move into this with that and people passing. One rock icon that we loved when we were kids and in our adulthood passed away this year, and I knew I knew it had a really big effect on you, just like Kurt did when we were 9 or 10 years old. But it was Chris Cornell, man.
Oh God!
And what I want to get into is how has his music inspired you, musically and on a regular everyday struggle, and how has it changed your life, and what do you feel about the whole situation with him?
It sucks. That whole situation sucks. That's a guy that he outlasted the grunge thing, where the guy's dying from either suicide or drugs, or he was the last great. And his vocals were so powerful, man. It was like you had a guy like Dio come along, and he was kind of in that metal mix, classical mix. He had great fucking voice, and you didn't think anybody could surpass that. And then a guy like Chris Cornell comes in, his voice fits with anything, any type of genre really you wanted to do, whether it's heavy or kind of country or bluesy or whatever.
Great voice.
Guy, yeah. To me, the best description I ever could think of as Soundgarden was Led Zeppelin was molested by Black Sabbath, and they had a bastard child. And it was Soundgarden. And man, dude, they start off really punky early and
old SST.
Dirty.
Remember they were on SST Records with Greg Ginn from
Hiro
Black
Yamamoto, the original bass player, wrote a lot of stuff.
He did.
Cornell started off as a drummer with them.
And what's the guitarist's name? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Kim Thale.
Kim Thale's from here.
Yeah,
I don't want to
from
say
Chicago.
the region, but he's from the Chicago suburbs. A lot of people don't know that, but he is. And Soundgarden's a great band. And Chris, man, I mean, I was really shocked. Remember I sent you that picture. My cousin Ian's friend was at that show in Detroit, and he sent me the picture that night. I was like, "Oh, cool! You're seeing Soundgarden, badass." And then that happened, and it's just a bummer. And
Ian was at that show?
No, his good friend was
okay.
his best man in his wedding. But the scary thing about this is the only one that's left out of the grunge big five is Eddie Vedder.
Hello, where the dog me. Oh, yeah.
And he was my least favorite,
Yeah, me too. He's a good singer. And look at all the doppelgangers he spawned, vocally.
And then let's not forget about, Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, Scott Weiland's gone. They got a new singer. I just heard a new single for them.
Scott
and that's a guy
Weiland's
who's trying to sound like him. That's what pisses me off. It's like these bands, they do it because it's too much business now. That name STP has a dollar sign next to it instead of just the band credibility, if that makes sense. You don't look at it like this is good music anymore. You look at it as this can make money.
So in the top 5 big grunge bands from beginning to last, I'm going to go with where I'm putting my favorite, my favorite.
Yeah.
Nirvana's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Alice in Chains.
Yeah.
Number 3, it's a toss-up between Soundgarden and Stone Temple Pilots for me.
Yeah,
it's a big toss-up, but digging in my head, I got to go with Soundgarden because I actually was able to see them live, and I'm really happy about that. Then STP, but they're at that number 3 spot, very close, and then Pearl Jam. What about you?
I mean, if we want to go grunge-wise, I mean, obviously I would probably have to say Nirvana by default, but I'd be a liar if I didn't. Soundgarden and Meat Puppets are kind of tied in, even though Meat Puppets were around, before the whole grunge thing. They were another SST band, from the 80s, playing with shows with Black Flag and stuff.
Did they?
Dude, yeah.
So you got to.
We have a Meat Puppets cover on this new album
for Handsome Prick.
Yeah, called Melons Rising, and we just played DeKalb last Friday, and we played the song, and then announced afterwards, yeah, it's a Meat Puppets cover. And people were like, really? I heard someone in the crowd was like, really? It's this is how ignorant they are, though. They're probably like, well, it's not like a fire.
But you're saying Nirvana number 1. I mean,
Nirvana
with those
one,
5, I got to put those commercial 5 out there. I like the Meat Puppets too, but
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, and
Who's number 2?
I was always huge
Soundgarden?
into the grunge scene, really deep. I mean, we're gonna throw the big, it'd be Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, and I can't do a particular order other than Nirvana would have to be number
1.
Have to be.
Who's your number 2? You got to say.
I'll say Soundgarden. I don't care.
Okay. Who's 3?
Meat Puppets.
Okay. Who's 4?
Probably Screaming Trees.
All right.
Well, I don't know. Alice in Chains is in there too, and they're really
not
that's
grunge,
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
I mean, no, they're grunge, and that's the thing. Like that term, grunge. I mean, you had grunge bands that were more punky. You had grunge bands that were more metally, like Soundgarden. Is just too much definitions for these guys.
Yeah, I know. Or Mudhoney. I always
like
some good old
Mud's Big
Mudhoney.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Big Muff.
Some good old Mudhoney. And then even, I can't throw them in there, but the Melvins, because they're such a big part of Nirvana's history. And
boy, all those bands.
And there's a lot of people that love doom metal, and it's like, hey, especially younger people, and I'm like, hey, have you ever listened to the Melvins? They're like, who's that? It's like, dude, if you don't know, if you're into doom metal and you don't know who the Melvins are, if you don't like Houdini, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
And then don't talk to Stratton either, because
he'll threaten your life.
Especially don't talk to me.
Because he might punch you.
Stratton's in the Special Forces.
Stratton used to be a Navy SEAL, so he might choke you the fuck out.
Choke you out here, drop you, dog.
But man, back to Handsome Prick, the new album. What's it called?
Anonymityville.
When's it coming out?
December 22nd on Horror Pain Gore Death Productions.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming out. Everybody check out that new Handsome Prick. Is there a show that's coming up anytime soon in the area?
Yeah, actually, our next show will be December 13th, next Wednesday. We're playing at the G-Man Tavern, which is owned by the same people who own the Metro. It's right across the street from the Metro.
Who else is playing with you?
A band called Replicire, I think is how you pronounce it. I forget what label they're on. They're doing a tour, though.
And one more thing, too, before we close out, the Chris Montez Fest, the Montez Fest. When is that? Where is it at? Who's there?
That is January 13th. That'll be at the Live Wire Lounge, which is also in Chicago. That'll be us, Putrid Pile, Plague Bringer, Minimum Wage Assassins, Goremonger, a lot of really good underground stuff going on, yeah.
Good. Well, thank you for coming as a guest, and everybody have a happy Kwanzaa, a Merry Hanukkah, and a Merry Christmas. Adios.
Yeah, pre-order that prick. That's sorry.
I'm musically meditated.
That's right.
I'm musically meditated. That's right. I'm musically meditated. That's right.